So now that we're on to gaming and tech, let's talk about some big headlines to intro the section. We have Fallout 76 dropping a pretty massive update that will let you play as ghouls, which is there's some stuff to unpack there. Silent Hill F has released a new trailer. It's pretty damn eerie and creepy, and the Silent Hill transmission happened. We'll talk about that. And then in a pretty interesting move, the Pokemon Go developer Niantic has sold out to the Saudi company. And there's a lot to unpack with that. We just have so many things to get into. Let's dive in. Welcome once again, nerds, to the Clips channel. This is a smaller portion of a much larger video called The Week in Nerddom that happens over on the main channel. This portion is specifically the gaming and tech portion, where we're going to be talking about brand new things in the world of gaming and tech. So like new computer things. We don't really get too deep into that. I feel like the guys over at Linus and Gamers Nexus and such cover that fairly well. So we'll get the broad strokes there. We'll get in a little bit more deeply in the gaming side of things, so new announcements, DLCs, etc., etc. And then, we're going to suggest some things for you to try out between now and next time you come back. So thank you for joining me. Let's get into the news. So, follow-ups, corrections for gaming and tech. We have the one Fallout 76 piece. Fallout 76. We now are able to play as ghouls in Fallout 76. Technically, there's a trailer that launched with this, but this is something that they've talked about doing for, I think it's a year now. I think it was December of 23 when this was originally kind of put out there to see what happens. But yeah, it's finally rolled out. You can't just start a new character and get your character to start out life in the wasteland as a ghoul. I wish it was that easy, but it's not. You have to be an active player in the game insofar as you have a level 50 character. Then you take that level 50 character and you find the Leap of Faith quest, and throughout the course of Leap of Faith, you then have the option to become a ghoul. All of the stats are very, very different, as you would imagine, from being a normal human player. And you can also change back from ghoul to human, and technically then change again to ghoul. But in order to go, once you've gone back to human, in order to go back to ghoul, you can't just do the quest again. You have to pay actual in-game currency in order to trade back to ghoul. So if you want to do some stuff as a ghoul and hang out for a while and do all of the things you can and then change back, have fun, just make sure you actually want to change back, because it's going to cost you a pretty penny if you change your mind again. So yeah, link down in the description, and then you've been watching clips from the trailer, assuming you're watching the episode, not just listening. Very interesting, super excited. Let's move on. Trailers, that's our one piece of follow-up, so let's talk trailers now. We have one big extra super awesome trailer, and that is Silent Hill F. We got the Silent Hill transmission just happened. So you have the ability to wishlist Silent Hill F. This is going to be on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series consoles, both the X and S, as well as the Switch. It did not say Switch 2. Actually, no, it didn't say Switch at all. It was Steam. I apologize. Please, somebody admonish me. But yeah, you can wishlist it now for whatever console or platform you desire. It will be, I didn't write down the release date for it, but it's soon. And you, like I said, you can go wishlist it, so it'll tell you when you want. The game looks fantastic. We're gonna transition though from talking about the game to talking about the Silent Hill transmission. This transmission broadcast last year the first one that they did was kind of action-packed. Well, action-packed might be not a fair description. Just jam-packed full of awesome Silent Hill stuff, because they had been sitting on quite a bit of Silent Hill information, being 3 different games that were actively in development, and then the movie and a couple other things, some merch things and stuff. So it was a long transmission last year because they had a lot to cover. They had Silent Hill 2, they had Silent Hill F, they had the next proper installment into the franchise, which I'm forgetting exactly what the subtitle for that one is right now. And then we talked a little bit about the movie, and we got to see all the really awesome merch and see all of the extra things. This year's transmission, by comparison, actually kind of sucked. But if you take it onto its own merits, it still wasn't great. It was a little bit disappointing because it was approximately 40 minutes or so of actual time talking. But there's a whole, if you go watch the VOD right now, there's a whole like 15 minutes of countdown going into it, and then you get about 40 minutes worth of actually talking about the game. And the bits where they talk about the gameplay and the elements of design and things that went into it, that's pretty awesome. But they spend an extended amount of time, and I mean like ridiculously extended amount of time, like justifying having a game in the Silent Hill universe that is based in Japan. And not just based in Japan, but based in Japan in the 60s. Which, okay, like, it's cool that you're changing the setting, but I don't need 25 minutes of you justifying changing the setting. I'm fine with it. Let's please just talk about the crazy monster designs and the level designs and what is the combat going to actually look like, because they kind of grazed over the combat bits. We got to see some really awesome monster designs. We got to see some new stuff. We got to talk about the music. They have the original composer from all of the other Silent Hill games. He's coming back for this. This time though, he's only doing half of the game, because if you've ever played Silent Hill, the game is usually divided into two separate pieces. You have the living world and the Silent Hill world. They call it, I think they call it the fog world and the underworld or something like that in the VOD from the transmission. So fog world is basically the real world where these people actually live, and then the underworld, or whatever the hell he called it, is Silent Hill, is what happens when all of the pretty is pulled away and you see the ugliness and you're transported into basically a different dimension. So I didn't write his name down because I took horrible notes this week. I'm not even going to pretend like I take great notes, but I took really bad notes on this one because I was kind of frustrated with the fact that we weren't getting any actual information. So I just stopped taking notes. I apologize. Anyway, the original composer is doing the fog world, is doing the real world, and then we have a new composer who's doing the Silent Hill music. So super intrigued by that, because one of the hallmarks of this franchise is the music. So the fact that the guy who has always done the music is now doing half of the music has me very intrigued by what this other composer is bringing to the table. But again, that was maybe 5 to 8 minutes worth of the transmission where they got to talk about the music. And then they went back to talking about why it's based in Japan and why they chose to change the setting and why they based it in Japan and why they chose to change. We get it. It's not in America. You guys are a Japanese company, so you based it in Japan. That is really all of the explanation that's needed. Honestly, let's talk about the gameplay, please. So yeah, I just saved you a little bit of time, but there are, again, some really cool monster designs, some interesting insight into the music and the level design and things like that. You'll get bits and pieces if you watch the VOD. Otherwise, I've given you all of the pertinent information, so maybe I saved you 40 minutes of boredom. I love Silent Hill though, so I'm super stoked for Silent Hill. Enjoy the trailer as it's kind of been playing, or go watch it yourself, because that's the better way to do it, because I'm talking over it right now. But as it stands right there, that's our only trailer for the week. Let's get into our big piece of regular ass news, shall we? Like I said at the beginning of the season, this is going to be a big merch push season. We are jumping in to doing the merch. I have the first specialty piece lined up. It's probably going to drop next month though, so we're looking at April for our first specialty piece. So jump in now, get yourself some basic nerd shirts, just the real basic design. Let the world know that you are a nerd and you love the things that we talk about on this show. In the broad strokes, at the very least, there's the music nerd, there's the movie nerd, there's the gaming nerd and the tech nerd and all of the different kinds of nerds that we embrace here at Generally Nerdy, and then all of the other ones. If you feel like your category has been missed, please by all means let me know, and I will make a shirt based on that information, assuming I agree with said information. But either way, merch push, go check out the merch store. We got some pretty awesome stuff, and I'm actually quite proud of these designs because I did them all by hand. So thank you very much, nerds. Go check out the merch store. Don't forget to, pick something up while you're there. there. It helps the channel a lot. As soon as we can start regularly getting merch out, I can start cutting back hours at the day job. That's how this works. I can focus more on entertaining and informing you guys. So thank you very much, nerds. Let's get back to the video. We have one piece, and it's fairly sizable in that Pokemon Go is a gigantic kind of phenomenon of a video game, right? So Niantic, the developers who created the Pokemon Go game, I thought, until this happened, were a subsidiary or were somehow closely tied to Nintendo. It would seem they are not. They are simply contract workers for Nintendo, in that they have an agreement to maintain this game with Nintendo's branding and Nintendo's characters, but they are not themselves subservient to Nintendo. I think that's the word that works there. So they were a standalone company, and they just sold out to a company called Scopely. Scopely is a subsidiary of Savvy Games Group. Niantic rather also is responsible for Pikmin Bloom and Monster Hunter Now, both games that are actively still being supported by Niantic, which will come into play here in a moment. So real quick about Savvy Games. Savvy Games is a Saudi Arabian game investment group. This is the same game. They pay into the pack, or whatever the word is for this. The group, investment group, that is putting on the Olympics, the esports Olympics in 2027. They're part of the entity that is doing that. So it's kind of huge. This is just another example of the Saudis really trying to push into the tech sphere, specifically trying to push in through gaming, which is very interesting phenomenon going on in the industry right now. But all right, back to why they did this. So CEO of Niantic, John Hanke, I think is how Hanke, H-A-N-K, Hank. CEO John said that the move is specifically for long-term. Where is the quote? They want the support for these games to be long-term enough so that they can be deemed, quote, forever games, unquote. So in order to maintain these games ad nauseum until the end of time, perceivably, this move was necessary in order for them to have the funds and the manpower to keep that going. So it seems like it was necessary, but the jury is still out if it's going to make any kind of difference. Ideally, it won't make any difference. Things will just continue on as they have before. But how often does that happen when a company sells out to another company? Usually the company who bought the smaller company comes in and clears house and then tries to do it with their people who are already there. And that way they can save money and continue to do the thing, right? So if anything like that develops, we will be keeping tabs and I will follow up. Otherwise, that's what we got for regular S News, which means we have some suggestion, or a suggestion rather, for the week. And that suggestion for gaming this week, again, there were a couple of things I could have gone with, but I picked up Halo for the first time in about 2 months last night, and Halo Infinite is our suggestion for the week. Last night, 2 nights ago. No, last night, because Mortal Kombat was down, and so I needed something else to play, and it was Halo, and I forgot that it was kind of amazing right now. Like the multiplayer situation, as far as finding the game modes that you want to play, is a little cumbersome for no real reason. Like they just made it needlessly intricate and obtuse. But once you kind of figure out how to navigate that, you actually get into a game that you want to play. This is one of my favorite Halo experiences now, as far as multiplayer goes. Nothing will ever beat Halo 2. Halo 2 will always forever be the best FPS experience in my brain, probably just because of the nostalgia factor, because I played way too many hours at LAN parties with that, man. But this is a very close second as it sits right now. Halo Infinite is damn near perfect. It's kind of shut your brain off and frag some dudes kind of play. What more could you ask for out of a great FPS? So that is your suggestion for the week. Thank you very much, nerds, for tuning in. If you want to level up your nerdy, geeky, pop culture knowledge, then don't forget to subscribe and do all of the things. Go check out the main channel, Generally Nerdy, for the larger portion. Again, you get all of the sections into one convenient video over on Generally Nerdy. The name of the show is The Week in Nerddom. Thank you for checking out this clip. We will see you next time. Before we go, though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, probably here.